According to a popular saying, money makes the world go round. But what happens when there simply isn't enough in circulation? That's the fallout of the Central Bank of Nigeria's currency swap of the 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes with a new design which has ruffled more than a few feathers. While many agree it's based on a sound cashless policy to mop up excess liquidity, the bone of contention is the short time frame given for its implementation, which has no precedent in financial history. The CBN Naira redesign, its challenges and developments forms a thrust of this special report. You're welcome to the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.
One of the first groups to complain about the scarcity of the Naira is the concerned APC stakeholders who called for a 6-month extension of the deadline issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria. In a news conference in Abuja, the group said the policy, though good, is anti-people, and the initial deadline by the CBN is a deliberate attempt by the CBN to inflict pain on the Nigerian masses, while the people of Delta State and the rural communities lament the scarcity of the new notes and ask the government to intervene.
The Naira redesign policy is a good policy that is long overdue, but the timing is absolutely horrible, and we condemn it. We condemn it because the timing is short and very restrictive. It has plunged the country into a serious mess, like we are witnessing with some pocket of crisis protest across the country due to the inability of citizens to access the newly redesigned Naira note, grounding the economy to a complete halt. We fear if this continues, it will lead to a complete and total breakdown of law and order. We want to use this opportunity to align also with some of our leaders who had spoken of certain sabotage of this administration, of the president, and of course, the party. The CBN governor has undermined this government and the party by bringing out anti-people policies designed to hurt citizens and has stubbornly insisted on not shifting ground by allowing a gradual withdrawal of the old Naira note within a period of at least 6 months. It is very clear that he has chosen to make a few people rich in this government at the detriment of majority of Nigerians.
The voices of concern continued from all and sundry, including former governors and serving senators, and it culminated in the government of Kogi, Kaduna, and Zamfara states taking the Central Bank of Nigeria to court first, noting that since the announcement of the new Naira note policy, there's been an acute shortage in the supply of the new Naira notes in Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara states, and the citizens who dutifully deposited their old Naira notes have found it almost impossible to get the new notes to go about all their daily business.
When this policy was announced, we supported it because we believe in the good intentions of Mr. President. We thought it was ill-timed because a government that has months to go doesn't start with new policies and programs. But we believe in the cleanliness of the heart of Mr. President, and we supported it because it will help reduce money laundering and corruption. We know there are many people with billions of Naira in their houses, most of it proceeds of corruption, and the president is determined that they account for the source of their wealth. So we supported it. However, the timeline for the implementation of the policy was just unrealistic. It is not possible in Nigeria of today to change currency overnight or force people to start doing digital transactions overnight or force everyone to have a bank account overnight, which what appears to be the objective of the policy. And when the Central Bank of Nigeria announced this policy in October, they did not make the new currency notes available until January. And when they did, it was not enough. We now have confirmed that the Central Bank of Nigeria has withdrawn about 2.7 trillion Naira in circulation. but they have printed only 300 billion naira in new notes. This is equivalent to collecting 9 naira from a person and offering him 1 naira. It is nothing but a recipe for disaster and crisis. We like to think that it is incompetence or bad implementation that caused this problem. But all the information available to us point to the fact that this was intentionally designed at this time to cause a major disruption in the lives of people, to bring commercial transactions to a halt, and ensure that the elections don't even take place.
But then there were those who did not mind the deadline and outrightly supported it, just like the Forum of Nigerian Political Parties, who threatened to boycott the 2023 general elections if President Buhari succumbs to pressure to extend the deadline, and solidarity walks to support the CBN were also held in Abuja by civil society groups, and in the southwest there were protests.
The situation on ground is not only affecting the masses, but most importantly is affecting the military operations and other security agencies negatively. Because what I discovered from my recent visit to my constituency is that the soldiers, particularly, that are deployed to various remote areas to carry out their duties, their mandate of defending people, are finding it very difficult to survive because they don't have money at hand to buy the food or the requirements or basic or daily needs that they want to buy. So I want to use this opportunity to call on the CBN and whoever is responsible to make sure that the needed cash by the military and other security agencies for their operations is adequately provided. As it is now, they are finding it very difficult to access cash, especially the new notes. So the CBN Bank cashless policy and the new Naira design is affecting the security operations negatively, and it should be considered before it gets out of hand. I am aware of one situation or two that the military or personnel that normally take short hours passes to come to ATM to get money. One, they come to the ATM, the money is not there. Number two, there is queue, a long queue. People sleep at the ATM, and when they try to jump the queue, there was a problem that one soldier was mobbed and nearly killed because of frustration by. So such a situation should be avoided and addressed immediately before it gets out of hand.
The Supreme Court finally stepped in, given the lawsuit from the government of Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara states, and the Apex Court restrained the federal government from implementing the deadline for the all Naira notes to become legal tender.
When there's a dispute between the state government and federal government, it's one of the few occasions where Supreme Court has the original jurisdiction. So we invoked the powers of the Supreme Court to hear this application. The reason for it is that as well-intentioned as this policy of federal government of Redesign is working hardship all over the country. As we can all see, banks are being harassed, Nigerians are suffering needless, especially the downtrodden. Those in the urban areas, they're having problems, but it's more excruciating at the rural area. So these three state governments, Kaduna, Zamfara and Kogi, deem it fit for us to invoke the powers of Supreme Court to intervene.
Oko community, a suburb of Asaba, the Delta State capital, a riverine community which is about 6 kilometers to the capital city. Most of the people here are predominantly fishermen and farmers because of its location in the western bank of the River Niger. Just like other Nigerians, this community is not spared in the recent scarcity of the Naira occasioned by the drive of the Central Bank of Nigeria to foster the cashless policy due to the redesigning of some Naira notes.
POS, now I get them. As I do business, so if I want go drop, I go say no reach. Then go collect 20,000 naira. So the problem, the money when I keep, my they do business now buy, they buy now. Not even they reach me to do the business again. So if you reach market, everybody they cry, no money to buy what you go chop. Problem. Everybody they cry. Say then just seize the whole money. The thing just tire everybody. See business when I come now. Money not reach me to buy fish when I tell they do the business. Money no reach. So I beg go. Make we know go do our country.
I come here, I buy and sell. Right from beginning, we buy and pay. But as from now, you can see cash to pay. And yeah, you can transfer money because this is village. Not all understand transferring, and not all has bank accounts. So if you buy here, you cannot pay. The economy is very, very hard. No money. Even though you went to POS to collect money, 10,000 naira, they will collect 1,000 naira from you. So to see money and pay, buy food is very hard for us. Our business is tough now for here because of no cash at hand. Before, we normally, when we buy, we pay them cash. But now, no way. The people that have soft mind will give you. Maybe we struggle and give them the half of the money. But the people that don't have soft mind, they will tell you that they cannot sell the fish because they will not sell credit and go out. They will not see what they will eat. And you go to the bank to go and withdraw money. You will stand for money till night. You will not see money to withdraw. That's the major problem that we are facing here.
The oil city of Warri also recorded a series of protests this period, with market women taking to the streets and venting their anger over the policy.
They won't kill us! They won't kill us! They won't kill us! They don't put our money for bank now. Hungry won't finish us. Let them bring our money. Money tap. I don't know to bring our money. We need our money now. If not, we have to vote for election. If not, the election will not put our money.
Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria has begun monitoring the disbursement of new cash to point-of-sales operators to ensure unbanked Nigerians swap their old Naira notes with new ones, both with the use of automated teller machines as well as across-the-counter payments. They have assured those in the rural areas that the exercise is a continuous one until there's a balance.
Agent banking to the POS will have those people who can reach the remotest areas to disperse. And now that we have said they can do cash out through those agents, I think it's a matter of time all these tensions will die down. It's natural that when you introduce a new thing, a change, there's a little resistance, but over time when people realize that you are serious with what you are doing, because there are other channels people can transact actually, not just cash. You can do other things, or use other channels to transact, to make payment, to do other things. But people, because they are used to cash, that's why I see all the queues. You find out for them now, today you can do person-to-person payment using even Naira and other channels to do, but people are just sitting on cash. But over time, I think we'll do down on that the bank is serious. We're not going back on the cashless policy.
With the monitoring and compliance with this directive, commercial banks are still witnessing high influx of customers who are eager to deposit their old Naira notes and at the same time withdraw the new notes, but the Apex Bank has promised that the queue will be out in no time.
The experience of withdrawing money is not really friendly at all. Now for like 3 days now, I'm unable to withdraw money. I've been to three different banks. I've been to Polaris, I've been to Access. Even yesterday I was in Access. I spent close to 3 hours trying to withdraw money. At the end of the day, the money got finished and I wasn't able to withdraw any money. I was in Polaris 3 days ago, the same thing. So I really don't know what was happening. And the CBN governor said that he has really given the banks a lot of money to dispense. And now the banks are not bringing out the money. We are not even seeing any total notes. It's only 1,000 notes we are seeing. And the 1,000 notes doesn't even circulation. So how do? We go to the bank, they will still give you the old notes. And they are giving us the deadline, okay, this money is going to be at least within 31st. It will be circulation again. And also to my own hearing now that on Monday, bank will not be accepting the old notes. So how go to survive in this country?
Nigeria's former presidents, Goodluck Jonathan and Yakubu Gowon, are led by President Muhammadu Buhari into the chamber, where the vice president is also present for the Council of State meeting. It's the first hybrid meeting of the council, as former President Olusegun Obasanjo attends virtually alongside 5 other governors. Members of the National Council of State comprising the President of the Senate, Speaker of the House of Representatives, governors of Borno, Ebonyi, Kaduna, Taraba and Gombe, Kwara, and also the service chiefs.
Relating to the Naira redesign policy, the policy stands, but then the council agreed that there is need for aggressive action.
Many views were proffered, particularly that the CBN governor should look into making sure that money is available, the new money is available in quantum. And there were suggestions too that if the new money is not in circulation or printing them could be difficult, the old money that hasn't been changed could be recirculated and pumped into circulation to ease the tension, particularly for the poor people in our society who just need a little sum of money to buy their food, buy their drugs for daily basis.
With all of the advice that has been given, the executive, they know what to do. And I think as we move on, Mr. President will make, his thoughts, and his views on all of that, right? He will make them known to the nation.
My dear compatriots,
the president ordered the Central Bank of Nigeria to retain the circulation of the old 200 Naira notes side by side with the new 1,500 and 200 Naira notes. President Muhammadu Buhari, in a nationwide broadcast, told Nigerians that the decision is to mitigate the difficulties being experienced with the supply of the redesigned notes.
In the last quarter of 2022, I authorized the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign the 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira Nigerian banknotes. For a smooth transition, I similarly approved that the redesigned banknotes should circulate concurrently with the old banknotes till 31st January 2023, before the old notes cease to be legal tender. In appreciation of the systemic and human difficulties encountered during implementation and in response to the appeal of all citizens, an extension of 10 days was authorized till 10th February 2023 for the completion of the process. All these activities are being carried out within the ambit of the Constitution, the relevant law under the CBN Act 2007, and in line with global best practices. Fellow citizens, while I seek your understanding and patience during this transient phase of implementation, I feel obliged to avail you a few critical points underpinning the policy decision. These include A, the need to restore the statutory ability of the CBN to keep a firm control over money in circulation. I have similarly directed the CBN should intensify collaboration with anti-corruption agencies so as to ensure that any institution or persons found to have impeded or sabotaged the implementation should be made to bear the full weight of the law. During the extended phase of the deadline for currency swap, I listened to invaluable pieces of advice from well-meaning citizens and institutions across the nation. I similarly consulted widely with representatives of the state governors as well as the Council of State. Above all, as an administration that respects the rule of law, I have also noted that the subject matter is before the courts of our land and some pronouncements have been made. To further ease the supply pressures, particularly to our citizens, I have given approval to the CBN that the old 200 Naira banknotes be released back into circulation, and that it should also be allowed to circulate as legal tender with the new 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira banknotes for 60 days from February 10th, 2023 to April 10th, 2023, when the old 200 Naira note ceases to be legal tender.
The Supreme Court of Nigeria restrained the federal government from implementing the February 10 deadline for the old Naira note to become legal tender. It made an order of interim injunction restraining the federal government through the Central Bank of Nigeria or the commercial banks from suspending or ending the time frame with which the now older version of the 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira notes may no longer be legal tender. The Apex Court held that this will be in place pending the hearing and determination of the applicant's motion and notice for interlocutory injunction.
The court has already given an interim order to maintain status quo pending the determination of the suit. So it is an affront on the judiciary, and I don't think the judiciary at this point should just fold his hand and allow this to go unpunished. We're not really concerned who is involved. The Attorney General is there. He made an undertaking. He aired his view even on Channels Television to say the government will obey the decision of the Supreme Court and will obey the order of the Supreme Court. That order has not been vacated to the best of my knowledge. Now, to now vary the president, what they have done, what the executive have done, is to, on their own, vary the order by saying 200 Naira note will continue to coexist, while 500 and 1,000 will cease to be illegal tender. That is not the order of the Supreme Court. Politicians are quick to obey the court when it favors them. But when it did not favor them, they will restrain from obeying the court. And that's what we're saying, that as a government, you cannot choose which order of court to obey and the one not to obey.
Notwithstanding the fact that a matter is in court, it is not out of place for the parties, particularly the parties of interest, to consider and do the needful if the need arises, which may eventually translate into either the discontinuance of the action or perhaps filing of the terms of settlement or reconsideration.
I do not agree or stand with the president on this one. I don't, because it is an affront on the Supreme Court and the Constitution, because Section 287 is clear. You have to obey the orders of the Supreme Court. And who is the executive that will enforce the judgment of the judiciary? Is it not the president? And then it comes down to the governors. Now, what will the citizen do? Is the citizen expected to obey the Supreme Court and continue to use the 1,500 as legal tenders? Or is the citizen going to say, no, they are no longer legal tender, even when the Supreme Court have said they are, until the Supreme Court finally disposes of it? As a legal practitioner, I will comply with the decision, the orders of the Supreme Court, whether I like them or not. And that's what Section 287 of the Constitution says, that the decisions of the Supreme Court must be obeyed by every authority and person. Authority includes the office of the presidency.
And that's it on this episode of the program. Thanks for your time and, of course, your usual company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama.